Hey guys, you're watching Tech Edit. I'm Basil and this is the Oppo Reno12 Pro. A very interesting phone because it begs a question, can AI compensate for slightly pared back specs? What am I talking about? The Chinese version of this phone launched with a Dimensity 9200 Plus, a really great chipset, but this version, the global edition, has a MediaTek Dimensity 7300 Energy, which is significantly lower end. However, it does bring AI features to the West that we've not seen on other phones. And so practically day to day for a lot of people, specifically non-gamers, this could be a really useful, interesting choice of phone if they're happy with those compromises. I'm going to talk about everything about this phone in a second, but before I do, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do. It's how you're going to stay on top of everything that I do. This isn't a review, by the way. I haven't had the phone long enough, so it is a hands-on impression. And also I've worked with Oppo in the past, so this may be slightly biased due to subconscious biases, but I will endeavor to make it as honest as possible. If you're thinking about picking up this phone though, you may want to get a second opinion from another excellent YouTuber online. Right, let's get on with this phone. And typically when I talk about a phone, I start with the design, the screen, all of that stuff. But actually with this phone, I'm going to kick off with the AI features because some are really interesting. My favorite AI features are actually all to do with web browsing, AI speak and AI summary. I'm on a web page, I haven't got time to read it all. I just swipe in the smart sidebar, tap AI summary, and it'll summarize that web page so I can get an overview. Or if I want to hear it instead of read it, I tap AI speak. This works in Chrome, not only Oppo's native browsers. So that's really handy for me in particular because that's my browser of choice. Oppo's also introduced a neat feature called Smart Writer. Perfect if you're short on time or you're not too confident with your English. If you're in an app like Instagram and want to write a social media post, or Gmail and want to write an email, you can just write a few prompts and it will turn it into a fully fledged post or message. So that's really handy, and it's nice to see Oppo integrate these not just in Chinese languages as we saw on Find X7 Ultra, but also global versions now that the brand's able to sell in more regions. There are some features that are set to drop in Q3, like Best Face, which is Oppo's equivalent of Best Take on the Google Pixel line, and that effectively lets you pick individual faces in a group photo to tweak so that they look their best. And also, if you remember Lensa, which was an AI avatar generator that generated a bunch of pictures in certain styles, that kind of a feature is coming. That's just based on what I've seen in the reviewer's guide of this thing, but I haven't actually seen it in the flesh just yet. So those features are to watch out for. And also, if you've used an Oppo Find X7 Ultra or Reno11 series, you'll know of some of the AI features that we have seen that are back. For example, extract text. You can take a screenshot and save pictures that are in the screenshot or highlight non-selectable text. You can also cut out an image, a subject in an image even, and convert it to a transparent PNG, or drag it into your smart sidebar and have that smart sidebar kind of file doc synced across all devices, which was introduced on the Oppo Find N3 and OnePlus Open. On top of that, there's also AI Eraser, which is in the image editing toolbox, so you can get rid of a photo bomber or an unwanted item. If you jump into the voice recorder app, you can also generate an AI summary of a conversation, which is really handy. And then when you save that, you'll be able to get a transcript as well. I would have really liked it to be the other way around. It generates a transcript like a Google Pixel, and then you can turn that into an AI summary. And also that brings me on to my pain point with AI features here on First Impression. They all seem to be online. So cloud-based AI is clearly what this thing's about, possibly because of the limitations of the chipset. Oppo's Find X7 Ultra offered on-device AI, which was really handy. And for things like summaries and transcriptions, that's really useful because you don't always have an internet connection. So that is just one thing to bear in mind with this. But I do like that these features are made available on a phone of this price, especially those web browser features, which I've been using loads since I got this phone. So they're the AI features of the Reno12 Pro, but this phone has a lot more to it, not least of all the design, which looks very, very cool. It weighs just 180 grams, so it's super light. probably partly owing to that plastic frame. It's got a chrome-like finish, but it is indeed plastic. The glass back has a matte texture in this nebula silver version I have, and you've also got a triple camera setup as well. You can also pick it up in space brown and sunset gold, and with IP65 splash resistance, it can handle the elements too. And in terms of the in-hand feel, I like the flat sides. It does feel thin despite those flat sides, and what helps with that are the curved back and front. Yet the screen on the front is flat, but it's curved at all four edges, similar to the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, for a really nice in-hand feel. Has a pre-fitted screen protector on board. At the base has a USB-C port and a SIM slot, which also has a microSD card slot as well, or dual SIM cards. And there's the loudspeaker. At the top is the infrared blaster. All the buttons are on the right-hand side. Now the display is a 6.7-inch panel with the full HD plus resolution and 384 pixels in every inch of screen. It's also worth noting, while it is 120 Hz and has an adaptive refresh rate 60, 90, 120, it doesn't have a 1 to 120 flagship grade display. It's also nice and bright indoors and outdoors for most conditions, but with a peak brightness of 1200 nits in the sunniest climates, you may struggle to see what's going on compared to some other devices at the price. But in my experience with it over the last few days, I've really enjoyed the display. The picture quality looks very, very good. Also worth noting, yes, there's a screen protector, but underneath that, you have Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2. I've only used the cameras a little bit, so I won't go into my in-depth impressions, but I can tell you what they are packing. A primary 50 megapixel sensor with a Sony Light 600. It's a pretty small sensor, unfortunately, compared to past Reno flagships. 1/1.95 inches, but it's a newer sensor. So I'm hoping that, coupled with Oppo's most advanced AI smarts, help eke out great pictures from it. It has an f1.8 lens with OIS and a 26mm focal length. The telephoto camera on here has a 47mm focal length, so it's a little bit less than a 2x zoom. What you also have is a Samsung JN5 sensor, and that means a 1/2.75 inch sensor size. Portrait photos should do a decent job in, especially in good light. I'm looking forward to seeing how it pairs with Oppo's notoriously impressive portrait mode. The weakest camera around the back is definitely that ultra wide. I've already said fixed focus. It's a 16mm angle of view, which should provide some utility given the 26mm quite punched in primary camera, but still ultra wide I'm guessing will be in great lighting only. That's when it'll be useful. Otherwise, lean on that main camera. The Reno12 Pro's video caps out at 4K resolution, 30 frames per second, whether you're shooting from the front or the back. If you're wondering how the MediaTek Dimensity 7300 Energy performs, in 3D Mark it achieved a wildlife score of 3153 and an extreme score of 854. The Geekbench multi-core score of around 2,970 also paints a pretty complete picture. This isn't a gaming champion, it's not a powered champion. Genshin Impact defaulted to the lowest graphics settings there, and I left it there to get relatively smooth performance for about 15 minutes of gameplay. Dialing that up any higher caused frame rates to drop. So if you're a gamer thinking about picking up this phone, there are definitely better options for the price, not least of all the Poco F6 Pro, and even the Red Magic 9 Pro isn't much more expensive. With 12 gigabytes of RAM that you can bump up with RAM expansion and 512 gigabytes of storage that can be bumped up with a microSD card, fans of offline content will be very happy with this phone, and it seems to last for ages in my early tests. The 5000 milliamp battery appears to be going the distance, and the 80-watt fast charging is indeed fast. You can get a full charge in around 45 minutes. And so that wraps up my impressions of this really stylish, interesting phone. I love the back panel design. I didn't dwell on that in enough detail earlier, and it's been quite attention grabbing. I've just had it around for a couple of days and people have stopped me and asked me about it, which is interesting. I don't have that too often, but there's no denying it. The AI features on this thing, which are very cool, especially those web-based features, do come at a price, and that price is hardcore performance. And it's going to be interesting to see, is this a trend that we can expect in the future? AI at the cost of specs, or Is this a one-off because it's Oppo's first entry back into the global market, like the UK, £500, and Europe, €600? I can't wait to see what other reviewers think of this phone and for my impressions as I use it more. If you've got any questions about the Reno12 Pro Global Edition, please let me know in the comments section. If you like this video, click that thumbs up button and please do subscribe to the channel. It's how you stay on top of everything that I do. Thanks for watching.